I've had a lot of trouble with my ODROID C1, which I picked up for something like $20 Canadian. I have two of them now, and I had issues, I guess, around the memory card having errors, and also USB 1 peripherals not really working properly in the four provided USB ports. So I was reading about it, and I heard somebody use the on-the-go port to hook a hub into, and then that one works for USB one peripherals. Like I got things like keyboards would like just repeat characters randomly and stuff like that. I want to try it out, but really you shouldn't have to do any of this stuff. So this video is about how I finally got the OTG port working the way I expected, as well as I got a good hub for $10 in the way that I got a lousy one, but it's just because somebody was selling one for a low price. So I'll just sort of present some of the endings so that you kind of understand it before it happens. When I started, I was thinking, I put this into like a barrel jack, or yeah, I would connect this to a female barrel jack, thing, so I could put this sort of thing into it. Then I thought that I was going to sort of piggyback it out the hub so I could power the hub and the thing at the same time. That didn't work here, but that was my rationale. But I don't really regret this. This is a good way to do it because there's lots of things that you can plug, a power supply into that's USB, so that's working pretty good. So using the normal USB ports, I don't think USB 1 webcams work like at all. In fact, they even like freeze the hardware. And this is a sequence of me through the OTG port, through that hub, using an old webcam. Again, I used to have a USB 2 7-port hub, but I destroyed it messing around with some stuff. And this was on sale for $10. It's a USB 7-port USB 3 hub. In fact, that's my USB 3 Ethernet going in there. Long story, but it goes when I do VM thing. I can't use the motherboard one. So it turned out that I was risking that it would fit in the adapter. It's actually the adapter from the 7-port USB 2 one that got destroyed, which is like 3.5 amps, which is 500 times. I assume it's like 500 times 7 is 3.5 amps. And so far it's doing extremely well. And I got this one for $10 off Facebook Marketplace. So it didn't come with an adapter, but other than that, I don't see anything really wrong with it. It seemed to be working fine. Two factors that seem to be in there is this particular hub I was hoping was going to work was never detected by the OTG port at all. This other Staples brand one that I have did work, and when I got the new hub, I wanted to see if any of those other hubs would work, and they did, and I was really happy to see that. Also, originally I was using a later version of Linux, which was part of Diet Pi, and it's sort of a preliminary pre-release, and it doesn't seem to use the OTG port, but an older ODROID Ubuntu did. But it's possible that one of the two of these ODROIDs has a broken port. I did not disprove that, but I'm guessing it had to do with the version and the way it was configured. So my first plan was to kind of gender change the USB by this connector piece. And it turns out it's not actually that simple. So these OTG ports are not USB-A, but other styles that have a fifth pin. The fifth pin becomes a logical selector of the host or client nature, depending on if that pin is tied to ground. So fortunately at the store, it only cost me like $3.99 for the micro USB to OTG cable. So up to this point, I had been powering it through the micro USB port, but trying to use it as a port, I needed some other way to get power in. And I was looking on the internet for an ad for USB to DC jack, but it wasn't clear if that was going to work or not. So I decided to use some scraps to hook to some convenient places on the board. So luckily on the one I have, they decided to put a jumper which ties the V-bus of the OTG port to the barrel jack. So that was the point at which I connected the positive to, and it just goes directly to the DC jack. And also the ground is the same ground that's the DC jack ground that's on the main GPIO connector. So these I'm just going over how I proved that this all worked, and I tested with a VM as well. Okay, well, I already know the answer to this, but according to the schematic, pin 39 on this header is ground. So here, this is also ground, is the outside of the power jack. Yeah. Okay, so you're getting 0 ohms or 0.1 ohms there. So that is a direct line. Now on this model, this jumper J8 is connecting the V-bus of the OTG USB connector to the barrel jack positive. So that's a direct connection. Okay, so we're just going to verify which of these two pins it is. So in theory, one of these should make it go off. Let's see, we're in, trouble here. We're in conductivity test mode here. So one of these two pins and the, oh goodness, the inside of the barrel jack and one of these two pins should go off. This one does not. Okay, so this is the connection. The connection is the one that's closest to the edge. That's the one that we're gonna have to connect to. Okay, so yeah, we're ready to go ahead with the experiment. So I decided to sacrifice a USB cable that I found in the mailroom, and it turned out to have some pretty beefy wires. This power supply through USB doesn't work unless you have wires that are thick enough. Okay, so I covered my usual glue gun blob thing. So the glue gun glue is separating the two soldered wires in this case. So you see these, they have the data, these are the two data lines. Technically there's still a conductor there, but I don't know. I have to figure out what I want to particularly do with those, so that something couldn't randomly hit that. But for now I'm just saying I'm keeping it away from things, right? So if I were to plug this in here, right? So good, didn't go out or anything. That means it's not shorting. I go to DC volt 20 range here, and I said the one that's more the red color is positive. So in theory, if I put this in here, it should get 5 volts here, and we get 5 volts. Okay, so this basically clip-on power supply, right? So in theory, this thing should turn on. You should see it flashing, I believe, up here. So try to get this all in frame. Okay, here's hoping. Here we go. There we go. Turn on. Okay, this one doesn't have any boot hardware. So yeah. Okay, it's gonna kernel panic or something. Okay, it's starting to execute. This is the USB device list on the ODROID. So the screen wasn't working properly for some reason when I first put in this last Ubuntu. So I got into it through SSH through Ethernet, and the Ethernet was configured by DHCP. And then when I was in there, I changed it to wireless. I put a wireless dongle in there. So now it can connect to my local network through the dongle. And in this case, I was using it to access the outside world to install the MPlayer and mencoder software to make that webcam movie that I played earlier. Thanks for watching.